Ubisoft. You hear that name, and for decades you thought of some of the absolute biggest, most loved games on the planet. I mean, they seemed totally invincible. But behind the curtain, a perfect storm was brewing. A mix of terrible decisions, corporate greed, and just total chaos internally. So today, we're going to unpack how one of the true titans of gaming managed to tear itself down. It really all started to blow up with this number. 6. That's how many games, we're talking long-awaited remakes, brand new series, were just suddenly wiped off the map. Not delayed, just gone.
And oh, it did not stop there for the games that actually survived the chopping block. Another 7 got kicked down the road with no new release date in sight. It was a massive red flag that behind the scenes, things were in complete and utter disarray.
But this is the number that sent shockwaves through the entire industry. In one single day, more than a third of the company's value just vanished. An absolutely catastrophic collapse that had investors running for the hills. So it just begs the question, right? How on earth did this happen? How did a company that literally defined entire genres of gaming end up in a total, complete freefall? Well, to get that, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning. See, it all kicked off with a family's golden age. And no, this was not your typical Silicon Valley garage startup. Ubisoft's origin story is about 5 brothers who had a vision that went way, way beyond their family's farm. Back in 1986, the 5 Guillemot brothers basically pivoted from helping out farmers to jumping into the brand new world of computer games. Their goal was simple, but ambitious: create a place where the world's best game developers wanted to be. They even set up shop in a French chateau to lure in the top talent. It was really and truly a family business, right from the jump. And man, for a long, long time, it didn't just work, it was brilliant. I mean, look at this timeline. This is a company at the absolute peak of its game. From the smash hit Rayman to the genre-defining Splinter Cell and, of course, Assassin's Creed, Ubisoft wasn't just making games, you know? They were literally shaping what modern gaming looked and felt like. They looked unstoppable. But, yeah, you knew there was a but coming. Right at the height of all that success, the first cracks began to show. The company started changing, slowly turning its back on the very players who made them a giant in the first place. It all kind of started with Watch Dogs. You might remember the E3 demo from 2012. You can see it here on the left. It promised this revolutionary living world. It looked almost too good to be true. And, well, as the 2013 version on the right showed everyone, it was. The graphics were massively downgraded, the features were overblown. For a lot of people, this was the first time Ubisoft really broke their trust. They said, sorry, sure, but this wasn't a one-off. It was the start of a pattern. The division launched full of the microtransactions they swore wouldn't be in there. Later, Assassin's Creed games felt like they were designed to make you so frustrated you'd pay to skip the grind. And behind the scenes, it got even worse. Leaks revealed execs shot down a female-only hero for an Assassin's Creed game because they didn't think it would sell. Just a total misread of their own audience. So you've got this situation where the company is basically fighting a war on 2 fronts. At the same time they were pushing away their fans, Ubisoft was also being attacked from the outside, and, honestly, rotting from the inside. Okay, so the attack from the outside came from Vivendi, this massive French media giant that started gobbling up Ubisoft stock back in 2015. Their ownership just kept climbing, getting dangerously close to that 30% mark, which in France means you have to make an offer to buy the whole company. And that kicked off this absolutely brutal 3-year battle for survival that drained money, focus, and creativity. At the exact same time, the inside of the company was just imploding. The #MeToo movement hit Ubisoft, and it hit hard. A French newspaper exposed decades of terrible misconduct. And the worst part? The HR department, they weren't protecting employees. They were actively burying complaints to protect powerful people. The trust inside the company was completely shattered. So, with all this chaos, what happens? The company makes a series of really, really bad bets. Distracted, with a poisoned culture, Ubisoft completely lost its way. They just started chasing trends, desperate for a win, and got further and further from what made them great. And the downward spiral just kept going.
They launched Ubisoft Quartz, that NFT platform that gamers absolutely hated. They kept talking about blockchain games nobody was asking for. And then there was Skull and Bones, this ridiculously expensive, self-proclaimed Quadruple-A game that was pretty much dead on arrival. It was just one massive failure after another.
And if you want a perfect snapshot of how disconnected they'd become, look no further than this quote from an executive. This one statement basically confirmed every gamer's worst nightmare about where the industry was headed, with Ubisoft leading the charge.
So you add all this up, the broken promises, the internal rot, the bad bets, and you get the inevitable, the wipeout. This was the moment where years of mistakes finally came crashing down in a financial disaster they couldn't escape. 10.6 billion euros. That's the staggering amount of value that was just gone. To give you some perspective, that's more than the entire value of a company like CD Projekt Red, the people who made The Witcher and Cyberpunk. Just erased.
And what triggered it? A single disastrous announcement from CEO Yves Guillemot. The phrase he used, a major reset, was pure corporate speak for we are in very, very deep trouble. It was a public admission of failure, and the market reacted instantly and, well, brutally.
And the fallout? Well, it was devastating for the actual people making the games. You have the 6 cancellations and 7 delays we started with. Then entire studios were shut down. Waves of layoffs hit legendary teams. Over 3,000 jobs were lost. This wasn't just numbers on a spreadsheet. This was the real human cost of all those mistakes.
So, when your company is on the brink, what's your next move? What's your Hail Mary? For Ubisoft, the answer seems to be putting one final massive bet on the one piece of tech everyone is talking about right now, AI.
I mean, listen to the CEO himself. He is saying that AI is as big of a deal as the historic jump from 2D to 3D graphics. In his eyes, this isn't just some new tool. This is the thing that's going to save his company. And that leaves us with the billion-euro question, doesn't it? After a decade of chasing the wrong trends, breaking faith with its players, and losing its own identity, is this huge pivot to AI the stroke of genius that brings Ubisoft back from the dead? Or is it just the last, most desperate roll of the dice for a giant that's already fallen?